guys for another show for a reaction to the latest Arsenal press conference. You'll be seeing the live transcript, you'll be seeing everything, and we'll get your reactions in our live chat. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. Good evening, as Huey says there. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. Purim says he's patiently waiting. Don't worry, we are starting and we're going to get going. Talking about the press conference ahead of the Newcastle game. Now, I'm not going to make any promises about this type of show. Obviously, most of you know I have a full-time job, and usually when they drop, I'm at work. But obviously, off during the summer, I can do it reaction live. But I'm sure we'll probably do this throughout the season. So looking forward to getting going. So let's talk about it immediately. Let's get on and share to you guys so you can see it too. The press conference. Now, I'm going to Football London to use this. James Benge of Football London was there reacting to all the latest of what Unai Emery said. So let's get straight into it. He starts it off by talking about how Arsenal's business is not yet done in this window. Of course, the European window is still open, and that means that we could see some players leave this season. So other players were coming in. We finished our market, but it is at the moment open to other countries. In the next 20 to 25 days, some players will leave. It's the reason I want to close our squad clearly. Now, what's difficult about analysing an Emery press conference is because he speaks in quite a bit of broken English sometimes. It's quite hard to analyse and glean from what he's saying. But we're going to do our best. So in terms of that, obviously, we know some players are going to leave. It could be opportunities for some go on loan, like Emile Smith-Rowe, like Bukayo Saka, like these type of people could be going on loan. And it's going to be interesting to see who does. Mustafi could still go, and El Neni could still go. So in terms of who's leaving, it's who knows at this stage. Who knows? But thank you ever so much to those who are tuning in. Hello, Tom says, Yusuf, is it true? Is Tierney out for 4 to 6 weeks? I'm sure we're going to hear a little bit about that as we go through the video. So let's carry on. In terms of the reflections Emery has on new signings, he says, we have progressively some players signed and let some players leave. I'm delighted with our work. The club did well to get the best players to help us and make our squad stronger. We'll start Sunday looking to see our response with the players working only on that focus. So it's obviously he's very pleased with the signings. He said in a previous press conference that he wanted to sign players that would improve the squad. I don't think we managed to get all of the targets he wanted. I reckon he probably wanted a different centre-back to come in originally than that of David Luiz, but I think he's ultimately pleased. He would say that, of course, though, anyway. He's not going to come out and say he's unhappy with the business. It's not very Arsenal-like of any press conference. You've seen it in past with other managers, but you don't usually see it from an Arsenal manager. So let's continue. In terms of Tierney and Luiz, who obviously signed yesterday on deadline day, we did reactions and Q&A shows, and we've dropped a tactical breakdown on David Luiz, which you can go check out on the channel, so please do. He says they are coming to help us to give us different options. Both have experience. They played at a high level. In terms of the captaincy, at the moment we have 3 captains, Xhaka, Mesa and Nacho. I want to make 2 more with our squad. The 3 have the captaincy to be capacity to be captains for us. So this is always a weird one. I'd rather that he went out and picked 1 captain and that was it. Like, I'd much rather we went out there and said that either Xhaka's captain and that is it, because I want a chosen leader on the pitch. Something that Arsenal have lacked consistently throughout the season and seasons is a leader on the field. Even with Koscielny being captain, Mertesacker being captain, I never felt anyone could really take our team by the scruff of the neck and direct them and deliver what the manager wanted. If you watch the 89 documentary and you listen to Tony Adams, he talks about how it's his job to get to do exactly what the manager wants and relay that to the team. And what the manager wants, he has to deliver. And I don't feel like we've had that. And so I think more of a specific captain and an outline on who he wants to lead the team is probably needed. Apparently, we're not going to get it this season. Again, it is going to be multiple captains, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Oh, this is a bit of a big one. Main aims this season. So he says, realistic, we are happy. We are delighted with our players and our squad. We know it will be difficult, but our ambition and motivation is to do the best possible in all competitions. The most important competition is, of course, the Premier League. We are going to start on Sunday trying to find the regularity to be consistent in 38 matches. Our first objective is to be in the top 4, but knowing it is going to be difficult. Last year, we reduced the distance. Manchester City and Liverpool are stronger than others at the beginning, but we want to reduce the distance to them and compete with them. Before we go on, I think it's really important that he's highlighted that it's not just an ambition to reach the top 4, but it's also an ambition to close the gap on Liverpool and City. If he went out there and just said quite simply, we want to achieve top 4, it's too short term. The club needs a long-term vision and it needs to be outlined by the manager, and he's done that. So that's definitely positive. We can achieve more and more points against them. after Tottenham, Chelsea, and Manchester United have had the same objectives as us. Last year, we had a very small points difference between us and them. This is another challenge for them, for us. Our other teams are coming back, signing very good players, working very well. Everton, West Ham, Leicester, Wolves, Watford. The Premier League is the best competition in the world, and we are going to work and be with a big challenge to compete for the top four in this competition. Again, highlighting that other teams in this division are going to be fighting for that top six. We've got Leicester and Wolves who have signed really well. West Ham have made some good signings. Watford signing Ismaila Sarr takes them to a different level in terms of their attacking lineup as well. Let's see what some of you guys are saying before we move on. Dark Zero says, Tom, there are heavy rumours that we would go back to Upper Meccano in January. Emil Smith-Rowe could also leave now or January and return to Leipzig, and we sold Iwobi to get funds. Possibly so. It'd be intriguing to see if he talks about that in a second. Great content as usual, says Wilson. Thank you very much, mate. Do you think Luiz will start on Sunday? I'm really not sure, John. I really don't know whether he will start or not. Maybe he will tell us. Let's continue on. Which players are you most excited to work with? With all. Very diplomatic. I want to say to our supporters that I am very excited and enthusiastic. I don't think that's right. With Pepe, David Luiz, Ceballos, Martinelli, Kieran Tierney, and with Willock, Nelson, I always say his name wrong. Bukayo Saka, apologies. With Lacazette, Aubameyang, everybody, with Leno, with Emi Martinez, and with Matt Macy. He highlights the other keepers. That's quite interesting. We need every player, and I want to achieve with every player our best performance. My challenge is to achieve some titles in my present and future here and go to the Champions League. And my first objective is to improve each player in his career. So it's going to be intriguing to see obviously how players develop, especially the youngsters. Very diplomatic answer. Don't expect any less. How happy are you with the players that came in? The same answer I'm giving you. I'm very excited with the new players and the players that we have here, the young players as well. So this is why it annoys me sometimes with press conferences, because you have the opportunity to ask some really incisive questions that could get some good answers, but it's just sort of repeating them over and over again. Obviously, I don't know who's asked these. James Benge is just relaying what was said. How close are Pepe and Lacazette to being involved? We played in pre-season progressively, including some players later. We are going to start on Sunday with the players I'm very, very convinced are 100%. I think that probably rules out a start for Pepe and Torreira. Definitely Tierney, he's not going to be playing. Some players, it's impossible to achieve that performance for us because they arrived later. They're starting training with us after one injury. Lacazette, for example, he started training with us yesterday. For Sunday, I don't know now. Tomorrow, we will check. The same with Pepe. He is working and training with us for a week. Progressively, I want them to feel good with their partners, with their coaches, with us. It's different to how he was training in Lille. I want to give him the best moment to make his debut with us. Maybe it can be Sunday. I will decide tomorrow. So there's the big news on Nicolas Pepe. Obviously, he's still not said yes or no categorically to whether or not Pepe will start. I don't think he will start. I think he'll be on the bench. I pray I'm wrong. I'd rather he did start. But I think obviously coming late back from the African Cup of Nations, he's in a new environment, new training. So it's going to be intriguing to see what happens. What do you guys think? Tell me in the chat. Do you think we should start Pepe, or do we need to be more cautious? Do you respect what Emery's saying there about Pepe? Pommy Gooner says, enjoying listening from Taiwan. I'm extremely happy with the signing of Tierney. Thank you ever so much for tuning in. So am I, mate. Tom Lee says, big talk from Emery. A lot of pressure on him at the moment. Harry Rollo says Tierney, Luiz, Socrates, and Bellerin as a backline is actually quite good this season. Will show whether the problems defensively are superficial or run deeper through the coaching methods. Yeah, it's going to be intriguing. We've made some solid signings. I still think the defense is suspect in some areas. Masker the Gooner says, I think Pepe should come on as a sub, like 75 minutes-ish. Damaz says that he agrees with what we're saying. And Alex Wilden also says that use Pepe as a sub on Sunday. Let's continue. What are you expecting from Newcastle? They changed a lot their way of playing with their new coach. They are playing very well with their coach, has big experience as a player and a coach. He proposed playing with a big combination very offensively. I know St James's Park for the first match for them in the Premier League is very important. The supporters push a lot to help them. My expectation is to be optimistic, but knowing it is going to be difficult. We need to be efficient with the ball, strong defensively. I know they are going to be with us also, our supporters. We are really excited and have big ambition. In terms of, before we go on to talk about David Luiz, talking about Newcastle briefly, of course, I don't want to go into too much detail because this afternoon you're going to get a third upload of the day Well, that's 8 uploads in 48 hours. You are lucky, aren't you? That later today, there's going to be the first in the Eyes of the Opposition series, chatting to Liam Kellendy, Q&A session with him. He's a writer with Newcastle and all about Newcastle. And so he's going to give you all the information that you need to know about Newcastle as well. So please tune in and make sure you subscribe with those notifications on so you know when that video drops. But in terms of Newcastle, they are going to be tough. They made a couple of new signings that, like Joleton and St. Maximin, who are decent players. But ultimately, we have to play our game, know our quality is better than theirs, and we need to go in there and hopefully win that game. Let's continue on then. So in terms of David Luiz, we worked together with 2 months at PSG. See, someone tweeted me the other day saying, oh my God, he's got 14k subs and he doesn't know that they work together. I knew that David Luiz didn't play a full season under Emery. I knew that. And that obviously confirms it. Missed the 2 months. Fair enough. Got that wrong. Hold my hands up. But he worked with 2 months. Is that enough to glean from a player? You could argue it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. We worked together for 2 months at PSG. After 3 matches at the club, and he decided to sign for Chelsea. He's a big opportunity for us. He decided to join Arsenal. He wants to do something important with us. He has experience, quality, and build-up. He is a good defender, and he is coming here to help us with his capacity and quality. The tactical breakdown, which you can check out on the channel, where I interviewed Ollie Birch of Read Chelsea, and he broke down everything about David Luiz. I also broke down his statistics and his stats and his graphics, heat maps, everything. See how he compared to Socrates. And actually, people complain and are criticizing his defensive abilities, but actually his defensive statistics are extremely good. And if you want to find out what they are, go and check out the tactical breakdown that is uploaded on the channel. Please do. It may surprise you. And that pretty much wrapped up where the press conference got to. So I think it's really good. I think that's a solid press conference from Unai Emery. I think he's given us all the information we needed. Were I there, I would have asked about Tierney's progression and when we possibly might expect to see him back in the team, because I think that's been something that's been a lot on the lips of a lot of people, asking when he's back. Asking them about Pepe was important. I think we got the answers we needed from that. We can sort of glean that I don't think he's going to start him. I think he's going to be on the bench. He says he's only going to play the players that he knows are 100%. So in terms of those players, we should probably do a predicted lineup a little bit later on, but it's going to be intriguing to see who does start the game. The Intellectual Investor, great name, says, Tom, will Ceballos start at the weekend? I hope he does start. I think he's fit enough and he's played enough games now to start. I think that he should be in that midfield along with Xhaka and arguably Ozil as a midfield 3. I think we need to go offensive to get at Newcastle. And Ceballos should definitely be one of the people in there starting for sure. What's your ideal starting 11 this season? Ideal starting 11 this season? That's quite a big question. In fact, we're going to do a video on that just before the season starts, probably in the preview to the Newcastle game. So it's going to be interesting to see what that's like. But to be fair, Dart Zero, you're asking about what the strongest lineup is. Maybe we should go through that then. So in goal, Bernd Leno. At right back, when everyone's fit, I'm assuming this is, of course. At right back, Hector Bellerin. At centre back, I'm going to go with Socrates and David Luiz for experience. Rob Holding, I don't know how his injury would have affected him, but Socrates and David Luiz starting at centre back. Luiz on the left, Socrates on the right. Left back Kieran Tierney, providing us the extra defensive colour that we don't have from the other 2 left backs in our team. Then playing with a midfield 3. The thing is that you play different lineups in different scenarios. I'm just going, if I want to be all out attack and I want to win games at home, this is sort of where I'm at. I'd go with Torreira, I'd go with Ceballos, and I'd go with Ozil in a midfield 3. I'd then go with Pepe, Lacazette, and Aubameyang up top as a front 3. That's the strongest lineup I think we have. Defensive lineup. So if we're playing against one of the top 6, I probably would change a few things around. Probably take Ozil off, bring Xhaka into the lineup with Torreira and Ceballos to play as a more solid midfield 3. Maybe take out Lacazette, put Aubameyang as a striker, and maybe play Mkhitaryan or Nelson, because they're a little bit more defensive minded than Aubameyang on the wing. So there's a lot of options that we've got. What's great about this window is that we've got lots of options. And I think Emery has talked about that in his press conference today and what he expects from the players. How long will Tierney and Bellerin be out for? Zakaria says Tierney's going to be out for a few weeks, according to the sources that are going around Twitter. Obviously, I'm a bit disappointed that no one asked Emery on that. And in terms of Bellerin said on the BBC Sports Football Daily podcast that he's a few weeks away from going into full training. So you're still looking at him probably returning in start of October, maybe. I think that's when you can probably expect to see Hector Bellerin back in an Arsenal shirt. Until then, Ainsley Maitland-Niles will be our right back. Gary Hardy said Tini should be fit within 6 weeks to Rob Holding on the Arsenal video. Interesting that he should be back around the same time as Rob Holding then as well. Tom Lee says back three or back four. I definitely think we should be pushing for a back four. I don't think the back three works for us anymore. But of course, things change depending on who we're playing against. I'm going to wrap things up there. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you've enjoyed this press conference video. We don't usually do one of these. Obviously, I said that can't promise that these will be a two regular because when I'm back at my full-time job after the summer break is finished, they come out during the day. So I'll be reacting to them, I hope, as soon as I'm back from work, which should be quite early on some days. So hopefully we can get to them to you as soon as feasibly possible. Thank you for tuning in, though. As I said, please do go check out some of the videos that we've been putting out. This is the 7th upload, I believe, of the last 2 days. So that's quite a lot of videos that you've been been exposed to, which is great. And then this afternoon, you're going to get your 8th upload of the last 2 days, which is going to be a preview of the Newcastle game in a Q&A style with Liam Kennedy, who's a writer with Newcastle. So it's going to be really intriguing to see what he has to say about the fixtures at the weekend. Thank you for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone in the group chat. I much appreciate you tuning in, everyone. But we'll see you again very, very soon. And as always, up the Arsenal.